So first of all, I want to thank you all. I want to thank you all for being here, for joining us today on another update webinar, and actually a very important one, as the majority of you have been waiting for the actual launch of the platform. We actually have been able to transit ourselves into a stage where not only a private MVP has been launched, but also there have been a lot of developments and updates regarding the actual launch of the public product. And that's essentially what we're going to discuss today, next to the strategy of 2023. So for today, I would like to ask you to use the Q&A box in case you have any questions. I will not be reviewing this box until the end of the webinar. So during this webinar, I will not see your questions come in. I will see that at the end of the webinar actually, after which I will try to answer as many questions as possible. So from here, I will take you into the actual updates for this quarter, this year, and where we are currently at. So where are we talking about today? First of all, the table of content for this presentation today. 2022 in numbers, a quick recap of the year as a preparation for the Q4 report and the end of year report that is on the way, that is being published at the beginning of February, as you are used to from the quarterly reports, and this one with a summary of the overall year, what we have been able to accomplish and what were the biggest takeaways and lessons that we had during 2022 in order to further fuel and stimulate our success during 2023. From there, I would like to take you with us on the 2023 strategy. What do we have in mind for this year? What is our plan like, and how are we planning to execute upon this plan? Because this will be the underlying foundation for everything that we will be managing to complete and to achieve during 2023. And it's an important year. It's an important year in our overall growth cycle, our multi-year growth cycle, and our multi-year strategy that we have been implementing throughout the company for the years to follow. From there, I would like to give you an update on where we're standing at the public desktop platform, but also on the things like mobile app development, and how we had several delays, several challenges in the past few weeks from the previous timeline that we have been communicating, where Ian, our project manager, has been giving you an extensive update on what the actual process behind that whole product testing and product rollout was like. So I'm following up on that particular one. Then the EBC Awards, as many of you may have seen popping by. Very important part of the year as well, because I guess this gives a great opportunity for exposure. More on that in a bit in that particular side of the presentation. Private MVP, I want to give you all a bit more context on what we have been doing on the private MVP, what has been happening, why did we decide to launch a private MVP, and how do we plan to utilize this in the near future, and how can you benefit from it more importantly. Then the team, advisors and ambassadors, because over the past months we have not been sitting still. We have been growing significantly when it comes to our team, but also when it comes to our advisory board and the ambassadors that we have been attaching to the project till date. And this is something where I would like to shine a bit more light on in order for you to get a better understanding of what this whole strategy around team build-ups and performance management has to do with the overall focus for the year. And then I would like to introduce you to, as you may see already on our presentation templates, the corporate identity and slight rebrand that you may have been able to notice by now. Why have we been doing this? What is that brand identity all about? What is our corporate identity all about? And how did we end up on this final cut? A very important part of the overall direction that you should understand as a loyal backer of the project. And then at number 8, we have the communication strategy. We have been working actively over the past few weeks to get ourselves set up into a more personal approach when it comes to communication with all of you. Essentially, the initial layer of backers and the initial layer of people that have been following us ever since, eagerly waiting on the wait list, should have a way more personal relationship with us, and that's where this new communication strategy is all about. In short, there's a lot to tell, so let me jump into the first slide. 2022 in numbers, definitely a year of growth. And even though the fact that we have mainly been building and mainly been working on our fundamentals, we have been able to get quite significant eyeballs on us, and we have been able to already generate a decent pool of interested potential users around our product. And that's something that is actually very favorable. Those are very favorable conditions at the point where we are currently standing with the product and the rollout of the product. Without these potential users, it will be a lot harder essentially to find product market fit. And if we look at those numbers, then we can see that we have a multitude of pretty significant growths here. And although the fact that we're far from satisfied on where we would like to be and where we should be at the end of this year, we are very proud at the same time of what we have been able to accomplish there with a relatively limited amount of resources when it comes to an actual product or an actual MVP. By now, the majority of you will understand that we have been focusing quite significantly on optimizing an MVP rather than shooting out a very base layer like MVP. And one of the reasons there is obviously the strict regulatory infrastructure that is in the back end of the whole Propchain concept and its product and platform. So first of all, community growth. We saw that in the beginning of the year, we were only having around 1,000 people that were supporting us, supporting the project in general, and that were around us following it. And I think that by now we have been able to grow that to way over 11,000 people at this point that are quite actively engaging with us. And that means that we have quite a significant pool in order to test our product's market fit. More about that in the strategy part of this presentation. Then the impressions, where the beginning of the year in 2022 started with a fairly low amount of impressions, under 10,000. We have been able to significantly scale that to way over 350,000 impressions, unique impressions over the year, meaning that quite a bit of seeds have been planted. And that was actually done without much of a marketing strategy. This was basically mainly driven by organic marketing that was pushed forward from, for example, PR features, but also from our beloved ambassadors that we have been attaching to the project. And that actually translated in the waitlisted user growth that we have seen, where at the beginning of 2022, we only had around 900 to 1,000 people on our waiting list. But at this point, we are over 6,000 people that are on our waiting list ready to be onboarded. And that's something that we're currently working on and something that we have been putting in action. More about that in the strategy part around the private MVP, because there, this will become a lot more clear. Then our team significantly scaled as well. And that was mainly driven by one of the most important topics of this year, which I will be presenting in the next slide. We have grown the team from 9 team members to over 30 team members at this point, working on the project every single day. And as I can tell you, on a very significant amount of hours every day. And that's great to see. More about the scaling of the team and how we are approaching our current team rollout and optimization in the 2023 strategy slide. Then for 2022, we have been spending over 50,000 man hours all combined on the project. And that's a lot. And there has been a lot of research done. What are we doing? What are we doing at this point? And where are we heading towards during 2023, 2024, 2025, and how does this all align with each other? This has been a major part of our fundamental research and establishment of the company, and we're very proud to say that the whole team has been contributing to this particular number in an insane effort, I could say, in an insane team effort to make this all happen. During 2022, we managed to finalize our legal structure, and we have been able to become compliant for 27 jurisdictions at this point in time. Still, we have chosen to offer our first listing actively in around 6 to 10 jurisdictions just to test the waters. As we may know, or as you may know at this point, we are partially registered and we are partially exempted from regulations. More about that in a special feature on the legal structure in a later stage, as we are investing quite heavily in providing educational content as well. But essentially this means that we can find out the responses, the replies on how regulators will approach us when we are actively entering a market and where we are actively approaching the retail investment space. So for now, 27 compliant jurisdictions, and in our private MVP stage and initial stages of the public MVP, we will be approaching around 10 jurisdictions on the same time maximum. During 2022, we have also been preparing over 12 million euros in tokenized real estate, which is now ready on stock and ready to be sold. And this is the first supply that we will be running through. But next to that, we have also been focusing on not only providing you with real estate, but also exploring the opportunities to have you profiting from real estate related strategies like developments or refurbishments. So this is something that we will be presenting in the near future as well, so you can get an even more diversified strategy package. And then the token sales. We have been performing over $3.8 million in token sales over 2022, essentially completing our rounds, where at this point we are finalizing a final bit and piece, I would say, of the seed round with more strategic partners that we will soon be disclosing to you all. So overall, although the fact that we were in full steam building mode, we have been able to already generate a fair bit of traction, and we're very happy that at the end of the year we have been able to get ourselves into a proof of concept stage where even the tokenized real estate sales have been kicked off, and where also in that field, actually our business model, we have been able to already achieve a substantial amount of traction. More about that later. So these are the numbers for 2022. And then we have the 2023 strategy, guys. That's the next part. The 2023 strategy is driven by 4 words. And what are those 4 words? Resources, one of the key words of 2023, followed by consistency, fit, and growth. And this basically describes our 4 major areas of focus for 2023. As this is the first year that we will be launching our product, we are not necessarily striving very heavily for revenue, neither for profit. We know that in this year, the majority of the value that we will be able to extract comes from actually establishing resources. And what are resources in the broadest sense of the word? That's money, that's people, that's knowledge, that's essentially product feedback, that's in general having your product out there on the market, which is a resource for a wide variety of departments within the organization, like marketing and sales, etc. So essentially, all of what we're doing in 2023 is resource driven and is based on the establishment, or focused on the establishment, of more and more resources within the company. And that's not without a reason. More about that in a bit. Then consistency. Establishing resources is one part of the deal, but finding your consistency in working with those resources is the second part. And that's basically the second most important focus points of this year. Finding consistency in our processes. As a project that has been going through a very turbulent year, I would say, in 2022, we have been able to learn from that. And we have been able to find out that during that 2022 period, which was a lot of research and development in general, combined with actually building and scaling to a certain extent a company, we have been able to learn that there was a lot of ad hoc stuff happening. And essentially, by establishing the resources during 2023, we also focus on processes and process management. And finding consistency in following those processes will be mandatory in order to achieve our growth targets over the year, but also the years to follow. So consistency is a very important focus point for this year. Then fit, one of the most important ones maybe. After consistency, it's a bit of a trade-off between fit and growth, but fit is essentially driven and pointing towards market fit. Market fit as in market fit for the product. Because building a product is one thing, but understanding what your user demands from that product is the second. And this is a process in general, a mandatory process where a lot of our resources are being invested in during this year in order to find out what our user actually wants and needs in order to understand that our product is actually useful for them. We can keep on building, we can keep on coming up with great ideas, but if we not test it and not extract the feedback from our users, it will be very hard to scale this during the end of this year, but also the years to follow. So essentially finding fit and finding true fit based on true users and true feedback is a very important part and focus of this year. Then we have growth. And growth is actually the last focus point for this year. We have been listing growth as the final focus word, focus topic for the year. And the reason for that is that it is only possible to achieve growth if the other three have been successfully accomplished over the year. Without resources, without a consistent process, and without market fit, product fit in the market, we will not be able to grow. And you will basically only be able to grow on speculative, from a speculative angle, which is not the direction that we would like to go to. We want to grow based on actual usage of our product. And it's also an important part of the launch strategy around our native utility token within the platform. So if we translate that to quarterly focus points, then we could say that we have Q1, which is basically the establishment quarter. And during Q1 in January, which has nearly come to an end, we have been mainly focusing on closing down the year of 2022, taking our lessons and already kick off all of the fundamental processes, I would say, that come into play when it comes to the establishment of resources, for example. So this is a wide variety of activities that we are and have been focusing on so far during Q1. This is, for example, onboarding of more strategic partners, but also preparing ourselves for a potential equity round, preparing a token launch, scaling up our team resources, and collecting feedback out of the private MVP that we have been launching till now. Sales is only a part of that. Obviously, we need sales. We need to hit the numbers in order to establish ourselves from a proof of concept point of view. But this is all not possible and will all not be effective if we are not working on the fundamentals there. So Q1 is really establishment focused on all areas that I just mentioned. In Q2, we're looking to shift our focus from establishment, which is basically linking to the first focus point, resources, into implementation. So in Q2, we are looking to implement the feedback not only from the product users, but also the internal feedback that we have been, for example, collecting from the investments that we are currently making in performance management in order to realign the team. Launching a product is one, but having a team internally that understands how to handle our users and the product, especially in the scalability stages, is a very important part of the fundamental strategy for this year. And that kind of aligns with consistency, implementation of our consistent processes within the company, both internally as externally. And there you also see, for example, the product suite. From the initial feedback, we can decide with what products we want to follow up. Essentially, this also lines up with the token model. By having the token launch in Q1, we want Q2 to be a true implementation stage as well for the token model, the initial token utility and the initial token model in general, to find its way and to generate its stability. Then from there, we're translating into Q3, and Q3 should really become our traction phase. By having the internal departments aligned, by having our product optimized for market fit based on the initial feedback, we should be able to generate that initial fit during Q3, and we should have a scalability insight in team resources. How many team members do we need in order to manage a certain amount of users, but also from a technological perspective on what infrastructure we need in order to start working ourselves to Q4 and the years to follow, where we would like to essentially scale our product. Furthermore, in this Q3's focus, things like data visualization, scaling the team in general, and the acquisition of more talent in order to be able to scale aggressively is something that we are focusing on. And that basically aligns fully with fit and product market fit. Then Q4, we have preparation again, and preparation here is basically preparation of external communications. We have a fit, we have a proof of concept in our pocket. We're looking to open up aggressive scaling. That means that we need to have our external communication straight. How are we going to present ourselves in the market when we decide to go all out rather than mainly focused on the current community that we have around this product, which is, as per the previous slide, around 11,000 people that we can reach already, which is more than enough for the goals that we have during Q1, Q2, Q3. In Q4, we like to scale that up, and we like to open up more for the overall market. And that gives us infrastructure preparations, it gives us insight and consolidation of insight models, where we have a quick overview basically of all the important metrics that have been driving the company for over the year. And then we obviously have process optimization in order to be able to go and transfer into 2024, where we're looking to aggressively hit the gas pedal. So that's in short, in a nutshell, the strategy for 2023. Then we move into the platform update and the challenges, the solutions, and the launch. This is something that a lot of you guys have been waiting for, to find out when this beautiful product is going to be available to all of you. Here you have some of our latest UX UI and the new branding, but essentially I want to update you on the platform first. First of all, the challenges. We had some challenges over the past few weeks during our testing, during our T3 testing. We have been running into quite some roadblocks. One of the major ones that we encountered was actually one driven by a connection with one of our service providers, custodian service provider here, that had a limitation on the API calls. And this was driven from both ends basically. And that made us decide that we needed to postpone the public MVP launch in December. The main reason there was that we were simply not able to scale in the order of magnitude that we were previously communicating, or at least what Ian has been explaining in one of the previous AMAs. Here, again, we have chosen for quality over speed, and that was mainly driven by the fact that here we were actually not able to scale because the technological infrastructure was not allowing it. The solution was actually found during January over the festive days. We have also been working, brainstorming in order to find out what was the solution for this, and currently we have been able to redesign the transaction process to the blockchain basically, which dropped our API calls significantly by factor 50 approximately, which is very significantly in this particular end of our infrastructure. And we have been able to increase the limits with our service provider with significant skill as well, meaning that right now we have been able to solve the problems that were present, and basically that lines me up with the launch strategy. Right now we're completing the internal testing to find out if indeed everything has been filtered out. From there, next week we're planning to pick up the T3 testing with our internal user group that we have been using for previous testing as well. And from there, we are looking to launch the public MVP for our waitlist participants in order to translate then into the actual public product that will be outside of the waitlist as well, and essentially following up with the app. If all goes well, we will be fully on schedule to have the platform launch this quarter, meaning that also with that in mind, the actual token will launch at the end of this quarter, which is, I guess, the news that a lot of you guys have been waiting for. Again, quality and stability over speed here. Although the fact that speed is one of our commandments, we're always trying to get products out there in order to get data. We never going to launch a product that is simply not ready for it by internal testing experience. So this was the main driver behind the reason that we have been delayed in our launch, which was in this particular case for a good cause. So that's the update around the platform. Then the EBC Awards, as you have seen, hopefully we have been nominated for the EBC Awards, European Blockchain Convention Awards. A lot of high-level industry players, I would say, that take part in this particular conference. And we have been nominated in general as first of the 5, I believe. I think that the European Blockchain Convention organization later decided to add in another 5. And we will be heading to Barcelona, where I will be presenting Propchain on stage for a wide range of industry leaders, and where I will show our traction and where I will show our infrastructure and our product in general. We're really looking forward to that convention, and we're obviously looking to win this prize and to become the number 1 of the European blockchain startups, which will be a really nice title. Great opportunity for PR as well, and we need your assistance there as well. You will be of great value, as the 50% of the voting will be done by the actual public, which can also be outside of the conference as far as I understood. So we will be announcing this by then. Great opportunity. Then the private MVP, as the token holders by now may have seen, we have launched the private MVP, which is basically a generic example of the listing page. And the listing page, we have been deciding to push that out in order to generate more feedback in the bridging period of the delays that we were facing with the actual product. And that worked out pretty well, because at this point, we have been able to collect a significant amount of feedback that was not necessarily the initial thought of launching this actual listing page. One of the elements of the new communication strategy is really related to feedback, and I will be linking that to this private MVP launch when I come to that slide. First of all, this is the first listing. We have been able to launch a 1 million euro capital round. I've been committing funds myself. We have around 650,000 at this point that is raised. There's a quite significant amount still in the pipe that is currently being onboarded by our compliance department. But essentially, we're looking to push this over the line end of this month, beginning of next month. At the 5th of February, this round will close, and this essentially will give us a 1 million euro proof of concept of tokenized asset sales already in our pocket, which is a really good thing to have when it comes to, for example, entering these blockchain conferences. But also, it will activate a massive PR storm for us. We have been lining up big names like Bloomberg, Business Insight, Forbes, all to shoot out the content as soon as we hit this number. So this is truly a community effort, which is not just a community effort to stimulate success for the product, but it is also providing you with a great opportunity, because the actual opportunity, the listing itself, is generating a very decent double-digit return on a yearly basis and has a significant outlook when it comes to overall ROI. So next to the fact that it will extremely help us and each other for reaching that proof of concept, we're also going to push a very decent opportunity in your pocket. The desktop MVP is something that is basically driven by the results that we are achieving from this very simplified version of the MVP. And basically what we will be doing over the next week, actually from tomorrow onwards, is that we will get in touch with every single token holder in order to direct you here, to get your feedback here, and to get you obviously on board of this first listing as a tokenized shareholder. So this is my part about the private MVP launch, mainly driven by the fact that we already wanted to start collect data, as we now have the opportunity, or had in the past weeks, to work on our product as we are waiting and we were puzzling for the fixes of the API limits. So great move, great feedback, and more to come. I will be reaching out to you personally because I want to speak with you and find out more about the fit. I'm very, very involved in the actual operation right now, and I'm absolutely delighted to chat with you all in order to find out more about what your experience is with the product that we're building, so we can make it even better and more convenient for you to use. Then the team advisors and ambassadors section, where I'm going to brief you on the scale-up phase of our team and our resources. And if we go to that slide, then you will find out three main topics: the team additions, and we have been adding basically organization-wide, but mainly I will say on development. We have decided over the past few months that we wanted to get rid of external developers and to get them all in-house. And that's a process where we have been focusing on actively with our tech department, and where we can proudly say that right now we have been able to migrate already 60-70% of the external dev resources internally. During this quarter, we're looking to up that to around 90%, meaning that we have all of the brains in-house. This comes in a perfectly aligned state with the focus point for this year, the strategy focus for 2023, namely building the resources. Human resources is something that we are investing in actively as well right now. Something that is harder when you're in an active research and development stage, but by now, getting the company into a more mature state, it made a lot of sense for us to make our moves into HR and performance management, because this is a very important driver, I would say, when it comes to acquiring talent, but also to make sure that the right people are in the right place, essentially reaching optimal performance and cost efficiency when it comes to running this operation, benefiting not only yourselves, but maybe even more important, you as a user and as a backer of the project. Then investments. We have been pushing in new team members when it comes to roles like Chief Investment Officer and investment committees. I mean, at this point, we have seen the first traction. We have seen the concepts around us, traditional concepts as well, like crowdfunding platforms, etc. And we have been researching their growth and how they essentially have been able to grow this quickly. And one thing we realized was that we were kind of understaffed when it came to an actual selection team for potential investment, potential opportunities. By activating our group of deal sources, we have been able to already get a pretty filled pipeline, I would say, actually more opportunities than that we can take. And I think that will not slow down over the upcoming years. There will be a huge opportunity. There's a lot of distressed deals already coming in the market, and we want to be prepared for that. So our team resources have been scaled up on that end as well, and I can't wait to present you these heavyweights in the team within the next few weeks. Legal and compliance, something that we have been actively scaling in as well. from an internal compliance department, as well as our relation with our service providers over the whole investment structure in both Luxembourg as well as Lithuania. We have been investing in this particular department as well. We will be disclosing these new people to you shortly too. Operations then, same story, currently in an active hiring process, and also managed to lock in some of the resources here already to further optimize our daily operations and to make life of our executives and managers easier in order for them to be able to focus on the departments and the scalability of them, as well as the consistency of the processes that are being established. Financial wise, same story, in an active migration, I would say, when it comes to financial planning and directorship, meaning that we have more time on hand to focus on growth and strategy. And then token and strategy, and mainly the strategy around the token, the liquidity, the listing, the integration in the product, etc. We have been able to onboard true masterminds again, and we are looking to show and present these people to you shortly as well. Then the advisory board, also something that we have been focusing on. We have been able to lock in a good group of general corporate advisors, legal advisors, and real estate related advisors, and we're looking to further build out this board, lining up with that resource driven mindset and strategy again for this year, in order to create a large pool of brain power that can assist us on matters, but that can also come in every month and every bi-weekly meeting in order to discuss with us the points of bottlenecks or obstacles, for example, but also opportunities and so forth that we can link to the underlying technology that we're building and the traction that we're generating in the market. And then ambassadors. We have been closing in a boatload of ambassadors, if I can name it like that. Those are influencers, key opinion leaders, spokespersons from both the blockchain space, but also from the general influencer space, and in general fintech related ambassadors. We have a quite wide variety, and also them we will be presenting them as soon as possible, mainly following up on the preparation of our token launch. So that brings me to the corporate identity and the rebrand. So we did a rebrand previously, you've seen that, and we have been working our way, we have been collecting our feedback on what we've seen there, and we became a bit dissatisfied. And why was that? That was simply driven by the corporate identity session that we have been performing over that particular time frame. We have been analyzing our ideal customer, and we have been reevaluating what our business model at this stage actually is. And right now, as you know, we're building a B2C product where we want to see optimal market fit and the most efficient growth. And when we are looking at the space, then I think that we have seen that what we are doing is not just boldly offering tokenized real estate. We are here to not only offer you a yield generating asset, but to also help you out with using that asset in order to build a solid foundation for yourself, a form of wealth protection, a form of wealth creation. And essentially we came to this bottom slogan that I hope you can read, but otherwise you can definitely read it when you are watching the YouTube version of this video. We want to be there to help you pave the way for a wealthier tomorrow. And that actually summarizes the new brand that we needed to align with this from a professionality and more mature point of view. And that's basically what has been driving us to spend some resources, time, money, and thought into presenting you guys with that rebrand. It's in full steam. As you can see, the sales documentation is already there. The presentations are already there. We're currently switching over our website, our social media, etc. And then we will be set in stone. But before we go further into the next slide, I want you to understand our redefined or finalized purpose, vision, and mission. First of all, the purpose is that it's a firm belief that everyone should be empowered to create and conserve wealth. I think that's mainly what drives us to do what we do. We want to deliver the products, the cutting edge products, in order for you to be able to create and conserve that wealth by real estate investing. One of the most trusted ways actually of building and maintaining wealth. And if you translate that in an actual vision, then I would say that we are determined to realize a world where everyone is working towards financial freedom and independence, mainly by building generational wealth through real estate investing. Something, again, that has been proven, and it is a very broad and bold vision, I would say, in order to get every single person out there to be able to start working their ways up. And this starts small, this starts big, it doesn't matter. It should just be that you are working on this. And that's actually a revised vision that we wanted to share with you. When we translate that in an actual mission and how we are performing that, then we will say that we are committed to empowering our community to build and sustain the wealth through real estate investment, but with our cutting edge products. And that's essentially where we have been building this beautiful platform, this beautiful product with and for. Furthermore, this also drives us in the overall product suite that we still have lined up. We're working on tools like wealth planners, spending trackers, investment goals that you can set within the application. There's a whole bunch of supporting tools that we're currently developing based on your feedback as well, by the way, that will be making your lives easier in this process in order to live up to our vision, mission, and purpose, and essentially help you to pave the way for a wealthier tomorrow. Then that brings me to the communication strategy, which is basically the final slide. I'm not going to hold you up for too much longer before you can ask me anything, but we have decided to move up close and to move up personal. We have been doing our market research and we have found out that the majority of the communication that is currently happening is actually way too far from our mutual bet, I would like to call it. And this is why we are migrating our full steam sales, marketing, and support operation on WhatsApp in order to get up close, to get up closer, and to make sure that you can reach us in a very personalized manner at any moment of the day. And this has been mainly driven by the fact that you are one of the first people that can actually bring value to the table when it comes to feedback, and when I refer back to the fit that I have just been talking about in my presentation. And I guess that me will be kicking this off by being personally available for the first bit of time, obviously with my team, in order to have a personal conversation with you. So please, if I reach out to you, feel free to chat with me, because I'm there and I want to speak with you and I want to understand you in order to find out how we can be at your best service. So expect us to reach out to you on WhatsApp shortly. And that brings me into the Ask Me Anything, and from now on also on WhatsApp. So I'm going to open up the Q&A box here. If you have any questions, then please shoot them my way and I will try to answer as many of them as possible. There were already some questions here. What's the status of the opportunity for becoming a digital real estate agent for Propchain? Very good question, actually. Right now, we are at the point of moving ourselves into the actual legal exploration phase, where at this point we are finding out in what jurisdictions we can do these kind of activities. The reason for that is that actual securities are being sold here, as it's a fraction of a real estate property, and we need to be able that need to be sure that the whole legal framework and fundament is in order before we start doing that. Otherwise, it could cause substantial damage. But know that we are working on this. Can Tulum investments be changed into certain numbers of notes? Yes, correct. That can be done. This is also a pre-listing opportunity. What will the launch price be of the token? That will be in the 50 cent range. That's something that we have been targeting at this point. Are you on track with the current 640K for the public MVP target for 1 mil before close on February 5th? Yes, currently we're on track with the pipeline filled and the actual sales push and WhatsApp outreach that we're pushing in here. We will more than likely be able to close this down before the funding round closes, and then we can essentially start the onboarding of the actual SPV with the asset and start paying out rent from the 1st of March onwards. So this is actually a property that is cash flowing quite quickly already. Do you see a big way of generating wealth by the Propchain token itself as well? Obviously, it's something where I cannot make any predictions. Do know that what we are doing currently is that we're working on a very optimized model when it comes to rewards on this particular utility token from a staking point of view, but also from the usage in the platform itself. So I think it's a very decent complementary factor rather than that it is necessarily an asset to generate wealth in. I think that it complements your overall investment structure. More on that will be shared with you in the very near future, because we are looking to provide you guys with a full stack information webinar, I think, as well, for the token and its initial utility. What amount of real estate properties is the total in the goal for this year? So for this year, we're looking to do around 20 million euros in sales. Right now, I guess that will be split over around 7 to 10 assets by the looks of it. Did I miss the prop launch date? That will be at the end of this quarter. On what exchange can we trade the token? We will be disclosing that closer to the listing, actually. Will there be a SEX listing this year? Actually, that's the whole strategy around the launch, but also more about that will be shared prior to it. Does Propchain have a new office? Actually, we have a new office with our main holding, and Propchain will also be relocating. So we are very happy to see that we have already been able to outgrow the initial office that we acquired last year. And we are very happy to share with you guys that the majority of the people that have been working for us throughout Europe are now actually in the relocation process to come and make their move to Dubai. Actually, we have a fair portion of the team right now, right here in Dubai. Over the next week, some more will fly in. And we're really looking forward to start skipping the remote work and start bundling more together, which is essentially also something that we could scale under the strategy part, namely the resources. So yes, we will be relocating. What will be the fee of sending Propchain tokens in any way? At this point, there is no fee calculated yet. So this is, I guess, the overall Q&A. I don't see any other questions in here, meaning that we have completed another successful AMA here. I will be happy to answer any more questions that may pop up. When you're reviewing this webinar, you're not live, you may be having a playback tomorrow or the day after. Please do not hesitate to contact us in the Telegram community or through the WhatsApp invitation that you will shortly be receiving. And please, if you receive that, always verify if it's us. We're working our way to our verification. This is unfortunately not something we can do directly. So please, if you get the invitation, make the verification for yourself, save us in your contacts, and please do not hesitate to contact us. I would like to thank you for another listening ear, but also for your interest. Again, we are extremely thankful for all the support that we have been getting from all of you in 2022, and we hope that we can build on a lot more success together during 2023. I'm looking forward. A massive thank you from me, from the team at Propchain, and we're looking forward to take you during this year into many more successes. Have a great night, and we speak soon.